I was arrested today outside Parliament Square under Section 13 of the Terrorism Act, essentially for showing support for a proscribed organisation, namely Palestine Action. The words that preceded that, of course, was that I oppose genocide. And I was sitting and standing alongside hundreds of others. And mostly, but not all, these were elderly people, people in wheelchairs, mostly white people, professionals, doctors, people in suits, those people that you would probably associate more with Middle England than you would with the concept of terrorism. And herein lies the problem, because after its prescription Palestine actions, activists and supporters were being arrested and have been arrested in their hundreds. And today was probably the largest number of arrests for terrorism in British history. I'll say that again, the largest number of terrorism arrests in British history. And how did they process us? They took me in a vehicle, like many of the others. Police officer arrested us in the most bizarre arrest process I've ever seen in my life. And I've seen many in Bagram, in Guantanamo, in Belmarsh and British police stations. But here we were talking to one another, conferring with one another, consoling one another and laughing with one another at the ludicrous nature of this arrest process. I was given bail, street bail as it's called, because this is where it happened, and that tells you all you need to know the nature of this so-called terrorism threat. And suffice to say that the police officers themselves weren't sure of the law, because first of all they'd arrested a bunch of us under Section 12, which is the more serious of the charge, and then they de-arrested and re-arrested under Section 13. And one of the officers was asking me if I could kind of reassure him whether this was the right legislation or not, which made me laugh, made us both laugh, because it was the ludicrous nature of this policing. And another police officer told me that the numbers of people required was so many that they had to draft in people from Wales. Indeed, the officers who arrested me were not from the Met Police, they're from the Welsh Police. And they didn't know the areas in which they're operating. And I did say to them that you didn't have to do this. And of course they said, well, we take orders from people at the top. And of course the people at the top are telling them that this is the most important thing on the streets of Britain, not actual crime, violent crime, rape, muggings, theft and violence, but old people sitting on the steps underneath Gandhi, holding out a sign saying, I oppose genocide. So that was today.